Sometimes the most radical thing I can do as a makeup artist is nothing. Most of the things I'm really proud of have been almost accidents. That off moment, that's the moment, that's like the magic. A large part of doing makeup in this industry is kind of psychological because it's really about getting people to buy into an idea or to a vision. I grew up in San Diego, part of a very machismo, Latinx, Mexican family. Very not okay to be gay, not okay to express femininity. I was lucky enough to have a mom that supported me, regardless of what the rest of the family or culture would say. So I used to just watch her get ready in the mornings, and I loved the process of her getting ready. And eventually, she bought me some makeup books that I kind of obsessed over. When I was in high school, I got really into like rave and club culture, and me and my friends would dress up and buying glitter and like throwing it on ourselves. We wanted to be like the new romantics of 80s London, but we were just not that. I didn't really think it was going to be something I did professionally, but eventually I got a job at MAC in San Diego, and then I just fell in love with it. My assisting days were really pivotal for me. I got to work with my heroes. When I first broke out on my own, I was doing like things for French Vogue. Emmanuelle Alt, she really pioneered me and got me on with photographers like David Sims and In the Eyes of the Nude. And that was pretty epic and amazing. I had to keep pinching myself. These were photographers that like I grew up idolizing. I moved to New York with this dream. It was actually a very ego-driven dream. Like it was me needing to compensate for something. There was this challenge of just trying to survive in the beginning. I sometimes like couldn't even eat. Once I started doing well and working, the challenges kind of shifted. It became about trying to get onto the next thing. I finally had found myself having accomplished a bunch of things that I wanted to accomplish. The high of those accomplishments wore off, and so I started looking for the next high. Partying all the time, drinking, eventually drugs. My using got so bad that my life imploded. I got to a point where no one would work with me. And even my agency was like, I think we're gonna have to let you go. I had really burned a lot of bridges. At the end of 2018, a series of events happened. And after that, there's no denying it. I couldn't run away from the problem anymore. I have to get sober. From there, I got into rehab, and then I spent a year in a sober living in San Diego. The treatment facility I went to is called Stepping Stone, that specializes in LGBTQ+ population. In order to have that healing happen, it has to be in a space that feels very safe and inclusive. When I was in there, there was a lot of trans youth that, I mean, literally were on the streets before coming in. One of the beautiful things about being in recovery and entering those spaces is that you have family like everywhere you go. Here in New York, I have found like my recovery community, and if I'm in London, I find recovery spaces there. Even if you don't know the person, we help each other out because you're kind of part of this club. Self-worth is something that is intrinsic. If we exist, we have worth. Before, I really believed I had to prove my worth. A lot of my ambition was driven by that. So many of like my familial and friend relationships during my addiction were just obliterated. I really isolated and pushed people away. Coming back into this, I have to put all those things first. Those are the things that give my life meaning. Work can give my life meaning, but I don't depend on my work for meaning anymore. We live in a society that promotes working at the expense of oneself as a virtue. There's this like very toxic narrative that if you grind and you work really hard and you make sacrifices, which sometimes those sacrifices could be one's health, that you're virtuous somehow. I really hope that narrative changes. Staying grounded is really important. I'm not better than anyone. We're all the same. Like one of the incredible things about recovery, right, is that like I could be at a job one day working with like, I don't know, Rihanna, and then the next day I'm like serving coffee at a meeting. Like it's like this like really humbling experience where you're like, oh yeah, I'm no better than anyone in this room, and in this room actually we're all equal. I want to take that more out into the world. It wasn't until I was in sober living for a few months that Giovanni Testino from Art Partner called me, and he's like, well, I don't know if you've seen, but we haven't taken your name off the roster. I heard you're sober, I heard you're doing well. Do you want to try this again? It was really like amazing because at that point I didn't think this was still available to me. It was hard at first, right? Because like I had spent so many years working towards this goal of like being successful. And then when that's ripped from under you, it takes a lot of humility. I have to give a lot of credit to our partner and to Giovanni and my agent, Alexis, for just being so supportive. When the conversation around me starting to work again first started, they were really like, what do you feel comfortable with? Put your health and recovery first. So initially I was like, well, I just want to do maybe a couple a month. And then after a while I started feeling comfortable with that. And I would tell Alexis, I think we could turn the volume up a little bit. And then I'd do a little more. And now I'm in a place where I feel super comfortable and confident. I get to go into a job where I get to be creative and I get to work with people that are real collaborators. Like that really excites me.